I'm Coach Dave. Welcome back to Coach's Corner.
Come on.
Welcome to Coach's Corner. I'm Coach Dave McDonough. We're back shooting today. I got a good friend of mine that we met back on one of the Rough and Rowdy cards. We got BrooklynBarwick.
Hi.
And she comes to us today. She made some big moves to get here, coming out of the city. A couple of train rides, coming to Connecticut to be on Coach's Corner. And,
Yeah.
you know, we really appreciate that.
We in suburbia. I love it.
Yeah. You're not in Oz anymore, Dorothy.
That's what.
So, you know, a little history on Brooklyn here. I met Brooklyn on one of the Rough and Rowdy cards in West Virginia.
Mm-hmm. Wheeling.
Wheeling, West Virginia, where she was on the card fighting. We had Daniel Amesbury, Diamond Hands. Shout out to my buddy. And
we love you, Daniel. I had a weird performance that day, but
yeah. But, you know, you're started there, but your movement in boxing is now
exploded.
yes. Like, so, yeah, your performance, like you said, was not what you wanted it to be that night. But, you know, we've kind of stayed in touch here, talking back and forth through social media, and I've been watching your advancement. You're not from New York.
Nope.
And I didn't realize Brooklyn was your first name. I thought that was
Federally,
your
yep.
my federal name, right? So very interesting. You're a Cali girl.
Mm-hmm. Laguna Beach.
Laguna Beach, here in the cold weather now in New York.
I always joke that I traded beautiful beaches for Lake Springfield all the time because the Hudson River. I'm like, damn, okay.
Yeah. Big difference there.
Mm-hmm.
But let's target a little bit, like, you know, in the sport, we talk to everybody. And, you know, my thing is this, and, you know, boxing kind of finds us.
Mm-hmm.
So, pretty simple question. Why don't you give us a little background on how boxing found you?
That is a really good statement because it did actually find me. So I was in a rough patch and I needed to leave New York. So I went to my friend Amber Mesner's house in LA and I was just staying there in Studio City, partying, doing my thing. I was an influencer, before I was a boxer, obviously. So I'm at this club called the Viper Room in West Hollywood.
Yeah.
And this promoter of Influencer Fight League, David Christopher, goes up to Amber and was like, hey, I want you to fight again. I need you. The card is lacking. And she's like, nah, fuck that shit. I'm not fighting again. She's a pretty girl. She doesn't want to get punched in the face. It's
right.
valid. She can fight, but she just doesn't want to. And she was like, but my friend Brooklyn has a lot of unchecked aggression. Go to her. And I'm drunk as fuck. He goes up to me. He's like, hi, I'm David. I'm like, who the fuck is this man? I'm like, hi, I'm Brooklyn. Nice to meet you. Oh, are you interested in boxing? And then we started talking. And then my debut in the influencer world was Nikki Rue. So I only had 2 months of training before I did my debut,
so,
too.
Okay,
so I'm
let's check it back a little bit here, right? So, but were you doing any training prior to this, athletically or anything?
Well, I was a world's athlete, which for cheerleading, and I was a gymnast, but
So you had a little athletic background.
Yeah, I'm the only combat sports I've ever done is I was on the wrestling team.
Okay.
So I know how to wrestle and grapple, but I just never did boxing. I did kickboxing classes, but never serious.
So over this drunken interaction in the Viper Room in LA, let me get this straight. You're now going to take a match.
Yep.
When you got home the next morning, did you change your mind? Did you say, holy shit, what the fuck did I get into? Or what was the plan from there?
No, so I woke up, funny story. I woke up at my friend's mansion in the hills, we're not going to name names, and I was drunk as fuck, and I was like, all right, I got to Uber back to Amber's house. So I Uber back to the house, and I was like, fuck, I really just did that. So I call up my friend who was a Misfits fighter, and I was like, what the fuck do I do? I just said, I'm going to do this. And he was like, go find a gym. So I was like, all right, cool. So I call up Mark Rain, and I was like, Mark, I only did one boxing class before this for, shits and giggles.
Right.
And I was like, Mark, I'm going to need a coach. And then I got my coach, and then we started just training in New York. And I was like, holy shit, That was like, it was a throwback. It was a throwback because that was like my first ever like Team Brooklyn. That was before I started abbreviating BKLYN. Like that was just team and then my name. Like, all right, cool. So we did the Influencer Fight League camp at Mendez Boxing, and then everything just started going from there. Then Rough and Rowdy happened like 2 months after that.
Yeah. So you walk into the gym the first day. What's your expectation? What are you thinking? Again, tell me, because
Oh my
I know
God, I remember this.
You know, like
It was intimidating. It was very
now. Were you going to
intimidating.
Mendez in Harlem or Mendez in Manhattan at the time?
Harlem. That's when
Okay.
they first opened.
When they first opened back
Yeah.
up in Harlem over there. Okay.
So like this is stage 1 Mendez before like they had like all the like equipment and everything that they
Right.
have now. And I walk in, I'm like, holy shit, this is intimidating. I'm like, oh my God. And I look back at sparring footage. I was such easy work. I was getting dog walked by fucking girls on the like street that my coach would literally like bring and be like, all right, you're gonna spar. What the fuck? Like,
Yeah, but you got to remember one thing, right? Like, and I give you credit for. Look, it's pretty ballsy to walk in and first of all, to take a bout, not knowing anything about what you're walking into, okay? And I'm not trying to discredit you or anything like that. But then to walk into a gym like Mendez Boxing, and people on the East Coast, we know it. I know it from when it was downtown in Manhattan prior. Now it's built up. You know, we have friends over there. Joey Gamach trains Otto Allen. So we're there working out at different times with my fighters. But you're walking in there, there's girls training for the Metros, for the Golden Gloves, pros, you know, just women in there training to train. You're not in any little boutique gym where it's going to be like, oh, nice.
patty cake pads and shit. Like, no, that
And
was
no
like
offense,
tough shit.
you're the new girl on the block. So everybody's like, you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when did it click a little bit with you? Because
Honestly, not until after IFL it clicked to me. Like when it started going into like Barstool, I feel like that was like my actual. Even though I did shitty, like I did one hand, a bladed stance, Mexican style boxing that
Right.
completely flopped. I look back at that and cringe all the fucking time. Southpaw Brooklyn died after January Hogue beat the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Like me and her are friends now, so this is why we always joke around. Like I literally blossomed probably either after IFL or after Barstool because it finally clicked. Holy shit, like, you don't play boxing. You can actually get CTE. You can actually die in that fucking ring.
How
Like,
hard were you training for Barstool?
Oh, I was not training at all. I took
Right.
that on like 4 days' notice.
Right. So, I mean, you're new in the sport at this time, and that's your first bout? Barstool was the first time you were in the ring, correct?
No, it was second time.
Second time you were in the
The
ring.
first time I was like with Nikki Rue, and that was like
Yeah.
easy. But January Hogue is the PA's like Golden Gloves national champion.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, and I joke about this all the time, I'm pretty sure I got brain damage from that match.
You know,
Brain damage.
yeah, you know,
She
like,
hits hard. Respect
yeah.
to her.
listen, and that's the thing. Like, you know, people think, look, there's a wide variety on Barstool, and shout out to the guys over there, Big Large. You know, I got a lot of respect for those guys that go on those cards and fight. There are good fighters on there, and yeah, they do hit hard. But, you know, in this sport, whether you're fighting as an influencer, you're getting in the ring, and you know, the word influencer today is there's a wide variety of talent in that sport. I know a fighter that started as an influencer who now holds a WBA title. He's 14-0 as a pro, and he's moving up.
Bamba? I know Paul.
Yeah, yeah.
No, he's not an influencer. He started in the amateurs, actually.
Well, he started as his first fight was an influencer fight.
Dead ass?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure he was in the amateurs, though, because I trained.
He might have been.
Yeah, no, because I trained at a Church Street, and like he got me into that like
Yeah.
ecosystem. He got me like with my last coach and shit.
Yeah, we met him in camp, in one of the camps, in Deontay Wilder's camp. His coach is Malik Scott, and he was working with Malik. And
He works at a brick house in LA.
yeah, in L.A.
Yeah.
So, and I know he's training now for something else.
I think he's training for not really supposed to talk about it, but an influencer that turned into a pro.
Maybe
Big
that's
match.
it.
Big match.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it just in case Paul is watching, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I love his story. I reached out to him. I'd love to have him on the podcast.
Yeah, no, he's
a
big,
hard-working guy.
big chiller.
And you know what? He definitely puts a lot of time into his craft out there.
Yeah, definitely. He actually has one of the best managers in boxing at the moment because it's a lot of funding and a lot of like entertainment knowledge. He has Neo.
Yeah.
I personally didn't know who the fuck Neo was until like
You heard
he
his
started.
music.
Well,
You heard his music,
I don't
right?
think I have.
Really?
Respectfully,
I'm
I don't
sure-
think I have.
I'm sure you have, and you just don't know.
No, I legit don't think I have. Like, I was telling my former coach, who is friends with Paul, I was like, yeah, I legit do not know any Neo song. Like, I'm sorry. I was born in 1999. Like, I'm a Gen Zer.
Yeah.
Like,
All right. But, you know, getting back to the boxing end of it,
yeah, he's...
you go into Rough and Rowdy and, look, fighters are hard on their performances, whether they win or lose. They're very critique.
Yep.
You know what? And I think I think that's a great aspect. But a loss is, you know, you can look back and say, how do I evolve from there? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So you went in, which you got to give kudos for anybody who goes in the ring. I don't care at what level it is. Fighting is fighting, and to prepare yourself to step in the ring it does. It definitely does. And so. What's the plan after that Rough and Rowdy? What you go back and
I went back to the drawing board. I got like surgery, undisclosed location, but like if you've trained with me, you know what surgery I have had. Then I was recovering. Then I took another fight in LA, an influencer fight, and Zab Judah was my ref. So
right.
I won that at least, but. It was just, there was no really solid plan. Like, I was connecting with Jerry, and, like, I was talking to different people that I know, and, like, just trying to, like, do the Misfits thing maybe, or, like, go the pro route. I didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do.
But
I really didn't.
But all at this point, are you training regularly, or is it on and off?
I was training at a Jackrabbit at that time.
Okay.
In Long Beach, where Ashton Sill, like, that's his whole, like, shit.
So you're going back and forth between the East Coast and the West Coast at this point.
Yeah, I didn't even start settling until probably like January when I was training out of Church Street.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was just everywhere at that time.
Yeah,
I was even doing like appearances and shit.
Yeah, I get that. You got to, you know, but the dynamic of training, how does that work for you being all over the place? Because I feel as a trainer, consistency with your team is key.
Yeah.
Because when you're, you know, it's good to work with different people and learn different styles as you're coming up. And, you know, if you have the opportunity to be in the gym with different coaches and see different fighters, I think it's great because even as a trainer, I get to see different coaches coach their fighters. And, you know, I'm a student of the game. Mm-hmm. I want to make myself better. But where are you finding your groove now as a fighter?
So I did like 2 camps. Like it was like 2.5 camps, I would say, in New York. I like the stationary vibes, but also now I have like a whole new team I was telling you about because I'm going pro and everything. Like I feel like just doing, because it's hard with my job, like to just be stationary. Like being in New York for that amount of time, I feel like really, really depleted my mental health. Not saying New York is bad, but I am such a person that I love like to be spontaneous and just go. Like that's how I am. And as much as I love New York, I love to miss it. And so being in places like, for example, I'm doing training camp in Vegas for 6 to 8 weeks. Okay, cool. Like doing a whole new environment, a whole new scenario, whole new like training regimen, and then okay, back to New York and then doing all the bouts and like traveling around for all the appearances. I like that. I don't feel like it affects me, and I feel like it actually fuels me. Like I was literally last week sparring in London.
Yeah.
Like such good work I got with the 2 girls, like, and Krish won her fight. Like I literally dropped her in sparring. Like I'll never like post the footage or anything.
Of course
but
not.
Like I dropped her, and she was like, holy shit, like, because my body shots are very lethal. She was like, holy shit, like, I've actually never had a body shot, because she's my height. Like I was telling you, I'm a very unique fighter. She's similar to me, and I wanted to, like, just get different looks, and I feel like out here in New York, I had like Aaron from Gleason's and Angelina from Gleason's. They were 4'11". Those are the only other like 4'11" girls besides Autumn Miller in West Virginia on Barstool that can fight. So getting that travel and different looks is kind of like good, at least for me, because
I think it's good for any fighter. It's not
it
just
doesn't affect me.
You know what I mean? It's just
But the jet lag in London affects me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to remember, too, your experience in boxing is still new.
Very green.
You know what I mean? So whatever, going to camp with fighters, especially going overseas, is big. It's a different style, first of all.
Yeah.
Okay? And you get to be regimented to see what these fighters are doing to be successful for themselves.
Exactly.
You know, being in camp is not a vacation. It's a job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so your job is to get them ready, but you also have to be ready. And the best case scenario is
that's why AJ wants me in Vegas.
Yeah.
He doesn't want me to be like a sporadic bird.
Well, also your trainer is probably wanting to see where they can have consistency with you and see once that they can get a vibe with you and that you feel comfortable with them and their style and knowing each other, that you're able to build some sort of relationship that if you do go without your trainer, you're following what the plan is. And he knows you or she knows.
He's been knowing me.
You know what I mean? So like
he was there for my first liver shot too. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Nessa, she literally gave me my first body shot and I was like dying because I obviously didn't know at the time for IFL camp what the fuck a body shot was, what a 5'6" shoe shine was. So got the fucking uppercut flurries and dropped. Like, he was there from start, and now he's going to be there from my start of, like, the pro transition.
Yeah.
And I actually do trust AJ. Like, he has Christine on his team. Like, I think he's, like, very, very solid, and he's always, like, just kind of like how you were to me. Like, kind of just always spitting knowledge to me, but, like, just supporting from afar. Like, yo, go do your shit. Like, you're rocking it, and I'm doing my shit type vibe.
Well, you know what? And I think, look, my theory as a coach is, okay, the fighter-coach has to be a relationship. There has to be a trust there at every level, meaning that, you know, but fighters are individuals also, and a lot of them are very unique individuals. And
I would say I'm very unique.
You're unique, and look, because of your age and the time that you were born, your creativity and spontaneity and all that stuff comes into play. I'm older, so I think coaches need to adapt to who they're fighting because the style, I grew up in the Ali era watching the old timers, right? But I also was very blessed to travel and see different trainers, top level trainers work. And I'd have to say now I think we adapt to the times, at least I do, because you know, I was talking to a kid I was training the other day, and we were talking about boxing. The kid loves boxing. And there's a picture in our gym of Muhammad Ali fighting Joe Frazier. You'll see it later when you go over there, right? And he's like, who's that? I go, what do you mean, who's that? I mean, like, you know what? Like, I'm
ashamed to be in Gen Z now.
Even if you're not a fighter, right? Even if
you should know who that is.
You should know who Muhammad Ali is. Granted, I don't care if you know who Joe Frazier is, and I love Joe Frazier, not a disrespect to him or his family. But Ali's picture, what he did, not only outside of boxing, you know, for education, relations, public relations, he was a phenomenon. So I think as coaches, we have to understand what we're working with.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it's like if we smother your creativity, it's not going to work.
Yeah, no.
To an extent.
I do feel like some coaches did smother my creativity and just didn't
but you're not traditional because
bro.
you're not. See, the other thing is, and this is just my opinion, you're not traditional.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm very
so
unorthodox.
for some coaches, look. For me, I love projects. I'm a project. You can give me a project with a fighter, I love that. Not saying that if you give me a polished fighter, I wouldn't like that. But most of the fighters that I've been successful with are project fighters.
Yeah.
Guys or girls that nobody else want to work with, or they're at points in their careers that everybody thinks they're finished, and then we reinvent them. I like that because I feel it brings out my creativity as a coach.
Exactly.
I could get to do things like, I often say, look, what are you going to tell Floyd Mayweather at 50-0? What am I going to tell Floyd? Hey, Floyd, here's your water. Pat the sweat off him. You're doing great. Go back out there. What am I going to tell him?
Yeah.
He's been around. You know what I mean? How do you coach a man like that? Because his experience, his knowledge, and who he's been around with in the sport, you're not going to give him much.
Yeah.
But somebody like yourself who's growing in the sport, or who's mid-level in the sport, okay, now you're seeking knowledge and different levels of knowledge.
Yeah. No, and I feel like my former coach, actually, when we went to Crypto Fight Night, the WBC card with Cyborg, he said I was like a video game that he couldn't control. He was like, oh, my God, because it was just me on autopilot, and I would hear 1-1-10. All right, jab, jab, overhand. Oh, cool. Shoot, shine. Okay, cool. Those are my autopilots because that's obviously my fighting style. But it's just because I do like people to invent me into something and give me a different perspective, and that's where I feel like I thrive with. And I feel like this pro transition and this pro journey is gonna be good for me because. Same shit, people think that, I was telling you in the car, people think just because I'm an influencer, just because I don't have, proper amateur experience, that, I'm not going to succeed in the sport. But, let me just say, I feel like I've done a lot in a year than people have done in their most lives.
Let me jump in for a second here as an influencer, right? Mm-hmm. You just made a statement because you're an influencer. What is Jake Paul?
Jake Paul was an influencer.
What was Jake Paul? What in amateur background did he have in boxing?
The one fight of the Deji fight because it was headgear. Just how my one amateur or my two amateurs was Rough and Rowdy.
Okay. So, jury's out on him still. Mm-hmm. But I give him credit, and I've talked about it with a lot of different people. As fighters and coaches and trainers and people in the sport, he trains.
Yes. I feel like Jake Paul is past the influencer stage and has gotten into
Well, now I don't know him. I know somebody who's been in camp. I've known a couple of people who've talked, and they do say he trains very, very hard. And
he does.
For his position in life, he doesn't have to train. I've talked about this before. He doesn't have to get out of bed. Mm-hmm. Doesn't have to go to the gym every day and train. He has enough money. Mm-hmm. He is set in what he does.
He just loves the sport.
Yes, he loves the sport, and I think now he's at the point. Unfortunately, I have my opinions about the Tyson fight, which I really don't want to talk about because I think he's at the point now he wants to show people that he can really
do
fight.
Something. Yeah. Well,
and I understand that. As an athlete, I think every athlete, you should have an end to your means, right? You're not just training to say, hey, I'm training, I'm a boxer. There's got to be an end. If you're going to go into a 6 or 8 week camp, there's got to be a fight. There's got to be something at the end, I think, for you to see and say, okay, this is what I'm working for.
Exactly. There has to be a goal, and you need to have that dopamine for an achievement.
Yeah. So how do you balance everything? Because
it's a lot.
You're like an Energizer bunny.
I know. I'm like the Energizer bunny on steroids.
I'm going to use that terminology.
I'm not on steroids.
They're not on steroids, but you know what? You're all over the place in the sense that you're very energetic. Mm-hmm. You're boxing, okay? Your social media. You're out there promoting yourself. You're out there doing a lot of things. How do you maintain the balance of that and boxing? And now,
time management.
Now the game is going to change for you.
Oh, I know. The game's going to completely
change. Because going
change.
into, you've already tasted a camp, a real camp where, okay, other than for yourself, right? So you've already tasted that. The preparation for you to get your first pro fight is going to be
insane.
Yeah.
My sponsors and I are ready, though. Like I was telling you, I was like, dude, I'm so ready to make this transition because don't get me wrong, I love the influencer community, and it is an entirely different sport because there's levels to boxing, obviously, just like amateurs and pros. not saying amateurs and pros are like bad, but like there's, certain divisions within the boxing world that people compete in, and influencing is not as skilled as pros or not as skilled as the people who go to the Olympics and the amateurs. Like, I'm excited to make that step into the professional scene because it's just something that I want to like test myself with. I want to be like, all right, cool. I want to go to different countries. I want to go and fight, like, even if I'm like getting paid less than what I would be doing if I was doing like a Misfits card or a CFN or something like that. Like, it's just experience, it's knowledge, it's something that in my life, my current mission statement is I want to stand on all 10s. I'm 4'11", if you guys have seen me like walk around like within like the New York boxing world or wherever in the boxing community that I am, or even on my Instagram. I'm a short girl. Like, you wouldn't look at me and think that I'm a boxer. And, like, that's, like, the suckiest thing ever because I'm 25 years old. I look like I'm 16 still. And I had a lot of shit happen to me. Like, public humiliation, freaking abuse, and all this shit. Like, everybody got a story. So, for me, as a female who is that short, I feel like I have a lot to prove. And that's why being a pro boxer, it's going to be one of, like, the many accomplishments in my life. I already bronzed at the cheerleading worlds. Like, I already did, like, the state championships for gymnastics. I already, like, coached high-level people in the gymnastics world. I want to do something for myself. It was either boxing or wrestling to get all my unchecked aggression out, and I chose boxing. And every time I hit a bag, all of this ADD and the ADHD and everything just
flies out the door.
I'm like, oh my God. Like,
but see, this is the whole thing with boxing as you're learning now. All right? Listen, I tell everybody, coaching the pros is the cherry on the cake. If you're lucky as a coach to have a pro, to even have a successful pro, or any pro, to take somebody to a pro bout, that is the cherry on the cake, okay? But boxing, there is so much diversity in our sport where people are willing to talk about what they've overcome.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't hear NBA stars, you don't hear NFL or, Major League Baseball stars unless they get caught up in a situation, then they talk about what they overcome.
Yeah.
But every fighter, talk to every fighter.
They all got a story.
Somebody's got a story.
Yeah. That's
abuse,
the difference between
abuse,
this sport and others.
ADHD, whatever the case may be, criminal stories, substance abuse, whatever, growing up in bad areas.
Yeah.
That fight, that struggle, right? And that's what makes boxing so interesting, okay? Because just like you say, you're sitting here, people don't realize what it takes, whether you're an influencer, an amateur, whatever case to get in that ring, they don't realize what it takes. They don't realize the training that you go through.
The social media warfare.
Well, that's a whole other aspect that we can touch on. But here's the other factor, right? They don't know what you're overcoming. Like, every day, like, you know what? You got to get up and go to work and train. Man, there are days you don't want to get up and train. There are days that your body's hurting.
Yep.
There are days that, mentally you're not there.
Yep.
Or there's stuff going on in your life that you say, I still got to drag my ass to the gym.
Yep.
And you got a coach pushing you hard.
Yep.
If he's a good coach, he's pushing you, and he's pushing you to be successful. But that's why I think, that's what gravitates me to boxing. I love underdog stories.
Yeah.
I love people who
misunderstood, the wallflowers.
Not even misunderstood, Brooklyn. Okay, that's part of our society today. Okay, society is changed than when I grew up, and there is a wide variety of people and tastes and what they do, and younger people today are creative. They're educated. They want to bring their voice. They want to bring their voice out in the world today. Whereas years ago, when I grew up, it wasn't. There were a few people But now there's platforms out there. Social media is big. It's important. You're not sitting here getting ready for a pro fight if it wasn't for social media.
No, definitely.
Not
my
saying
platform,
that you couldn't do it, but your platform is
my platform is what spoon-fed me my career, basically, and I'm very aware of that. Like when even walking around in the New York City gyms, people look at Big Deal. Big Deal is something completely different than BrooklynBarwick. BrooklynBarwick is the one that he met behind the scenes, very quiet to herself. Big Deal's the loud, obnoxious bitch that will just throw stools, dildos, whatever the frick it is, just make it a big deal. That's my whole brand. But it wouldn't have been because of
But the two work together.
They do, yeah. But what I think the influencing community has brought to boxing is the limelight. But there's actual real ass boxers in these New York City gyms, Connecticut, wherever we are in the tri-state that are really, really good. They got skills. They could kick my ass. They could kick Jake Paul's ass. They could kick anybody's ass that's in the Misfits or ICB system. But some of them aren't just getting opportunities, and this is what's sad. They aren't getting the opportunities to go fight overseas on WBC cards and shit because they don't have the platform. I can easily sell. Yes, I know that. I'm very confident. It's not cocky. I know that because of the antics I pull on social media, I'm either getting people to watch me fuck somebody up or get fucked up. That's what boxing is. But there's actual skilled boxers that deserve to be in these events that just don't have platforms.
Yeah,
and it sucks. It sucks.
That's, you know what, you're right, and I've seen both aspects.
Equal pay, bro.
I've seen both. And that's where Jake Paul comes in. It's you really got to think about this guy. I've known people that fought on his cards.
Oh, they get overpaid, yep.
Or even if they're not overpaid, they're compensated properly.
Fairly, yep.
Okay? And look, I see fighters today in combat sports, not just boxers, moving to the platforms that you started in, instigator, influencer, call it what you want, Barstool, all these different platforms because they're giving people an opportunity to get paid.
Properly. Heather Hardy didn't even get paid until she did get paid, but she only would get paid $20,000. Same with Serrano until MVP came in and actually gave him a fair purse. Fighters aren't compensated.
Listen, I watched Heather's career from the beginning in New York, through her promoter, through the area, one of the pioneers in women boxing, okay? And I have a very good friend, Maureen Shea, also out of New York. She was one of the pioneers of women boxing in this area.
She wasn't compensated correctly, and I'm it sucks.
Well, and that's where, you know what? Money moves the fighter.
Yeah.
And money moves the fighter at every level. So, you know what? And you see through your sponsorships are because you're out there in social media, not taking anything away from what you do. But there might be a girl who's on your level, maybe a little more talented, sitting in a gym somewhere, not getting any recognition, or a fighter, and it happens. I see it. We see it with fighters. Okay, we see it with fighters who are.
They deserve opportunities too, and I'm very well aware of that and very humble of that. I'm the cockiness is the Big Deal show, I call it, but in the gym, there's nobodies that or quote unquote nobodies. I'm not hating on anybody, but that will kick my ass.
Well, you have to
They got skills.
There is, yes, they have skills, and there is an evolution process to boxing. Okay, so the traditional process prior to all this social media, online stuff. Influencers, whatever we want to call it, was you went to a gym, you trained, and hopefully you got an amateur fight if you were deemed good enough by your trainer or if you put in enough work.
Yeah.
But that process didn't come in 2 months. It didn't come in 6 months. Old school trainers, maybe a year, maybe longer.
Two to three.
Whatever, depending on what the trainer, where you were. Now everything is ramped up into speed. Your generation doesn't want to go to the gym and say, I'm going to dedicate 3 years to training to get one amateur fight or to become an amateur and then go through the amateur process to maybe be a pro. No.
I'm impatient. I feel like.
But I don't think it's just you. I think it's just because.
My generation, yeah.
But those opportunities are out there. The platforms are out there. Rough and Rowdy gave you a platform.
They gave me a box rec, too.
They gave you a platform, right? And, for people who don't know that venue, and I didn't know that, when they showed it to me, I'm like, what the hell is Rough and Rowdy?
Me and
My
Jay
kids, my daughters knew what it was, right? I didn't know. Because when I told her, I said, yeah, well, I got, Ames is going to fight on Rough and Rowdy. That's, they knew everything, and then.
DP brought money to
yeah,
us.
they're like, I never heard of this, right?
Yeah.
But when I went to that first event.
That Wheeling Arena is huge.
But the way they promoted it, the way they took care of their fighters, the way they treated everybody it wasn't no backyard barbecue.
Backyard. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was a first class event.
Shout out Barstool.
Yeah, shout out to those guys, So now I'm starting to think like your mind as a trainer has to change a little bit to like, okay, we're still going to get you ready. Like, for me, I don't care if you're fighting on Barstool, if you're fighting for the WBA title. You're getting trained the same way.
Yeah. You got to get through the trenches.
You're going through the training the same way as it is. You're going to be prepared to fight and that you're going to be in shape to make sure you take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's still fighting. You still got somebody in front of you swinging gloves.
Yeah.
Whether they're 18-ounce gloves or 16-ounce, whatever it is, headgear or no headgear.
I've never done 18 ounces.
You're still getting hit. You're still getting hit.
Yeah.
And it's a
lot. The lower ounce gloves I like for speed, but like when I was on Rough and Rowdy, I actually kind of liked the 16s because it felt like a spar.
So what are you going to do? Have you trained in the smaller gloves?
Yeah, I've trained in 8s. Like they bite back a lot actually. Or at least the gloves that like I was training with. I'm getting like a custom pair, obviously. Shout out to GT Boxing over at Hill Street Boxing in Long Island. He's like my glove supplier, and I used him for my last fight. But like they bite back. I just know. Like I'm gonna be ready because honestly, I am a lighter person when it comes to my fight weight. I'm in my happy weight right now, but being in the lightweight division, I'd rather just have it hit and have impact rather than hit and have padding. Because ringside gloves they give us at Rough and Rowdy, very padded.
Well, they're big. They're big gloves for safety. Different type of glove. You're going to fight in a pro glove. Your hand's going to be taped.
Yep, with more tape. Use code Big Deal for 25% off.
And you're definitely going to feel a lot different when those hands are taped and put in a glove.
Oh yeah.
The
lowest I fought in was 10s.
10s, yeah.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about you're going to get ready for camp. Okay. Is it boxing? Is it strength and conditioning?
It's everything.
It's everything. So
it's everything.
Yeah.
You seen how like tiny I get, right, when I'm in camp?
Yeah.
No, I love when I'm in camp. I feel like an absolute like mad woman. Like I'm jacked. I'm like running around like this. Like I'm Pitbull energy in camp. And I'm also high key a bitch, but like it's because I'm weight cutting, all right?
How hard is it for you to cut the weight?
I feel like it's hard just as a woman because you have to like track your menstrual cycle on top of that. It's not a lot of women talk about this, but like when you're on your menstrual cycle and let's say you're like doing a sauna suit or you're especially doing a sparring session, like it's so fucking hard. It is like point blank period. Because think of it, you're sweating and you're draining, like you're bleeding. It's just a lot of shit that female combat sports athletes don't talk about. So for me, it's personally a little bit harder because I'm also high-key a fat ass. I love food. Like I love to like go out and like eat food. So you can't really do that when you're fighting between 109 and 125. So I normally rest at like 130. Like right now I'm 135, so...
Yeah, but you're getting ready for camp. You're not in. You're not in there.
I'm just.
How does your? I know you got to cut, and like, what does your diet look like when you start to cut?
So I actually have a nutritionist.
Yeah.
So Connor Kennedy, I don't know if you saw him. He was on the Delaware Rough and Rowdy. His coach, Eric, Triumph Boxing and Fitness in Point Pleasant. He gave me like this whole plan, and I just like meal prep. And shit.
You're doing your own meal prep.
Yeah, or like I get like HelloFresh or like Factor.
You're playing Mad Scientist.
Yeah, I'm like weighing that shit.
Yeah.
I have to put my spectacles on. I'm like, how much food am I eating today? And then going on the scale, I have a sauna membership. And then,
yeah,
I fast. I do intermediate fasting too.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think it's but the challenges of, and I've trained female fighters. Yeah, there's a lot of challenges.
A lot of challenges.
Not only physically, but there's training, and this is not disrespectful or chauvinistic, so please don't.
No, it's okay. It's just
don't
say
anybody, put comments in there that, I like female fighters for the fact of they're going to work hard. The ones I've worked with I've been blessed. They work very, very, very hard, harder than most guys.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's like they have something to prove. But you're also dealing with the female aspect of them, not only physically at that time, but mentally
and emotionally.
because they're just. It's like, and I have 2 daughters, and both are different, and I love them both. Both are challenging in many ways at different levels, and I feel when you coach a female fighter, you got to have that little bit of.
You got to be prepared for everything.
You got to be a little bit of a father, understand what's coming at you.
Yeah, no, I feel like that is. So I had recently a falling out with my former coach. I feel like that is something, not like talking shit on him, but like something that a lot of the old school generation, I would say, lacks is like. Oh shit, like why is this girl crying over here after a spar? Oh shit, they don't know that, like I'm on my period or I have like
certain feelings and emotions start to come out, and I think
it's a very blood, sweat, and tears sport.
I think there's always that in a woman fighter. I could be wrong. This is just me thinking as a coach. That there's always that little bit of doubt in their mind that they're not doing well enough. Yep.
I always ask, I'm like, am I doing good? Oh, my God, how was that combo?
Like that reassurance. And I think more so because guys are chauvinistic, right? They're not gonna show emotion, and they're not gonna show self-doubt in that ring. It's gonna come out in a different way. It might come out behind the scenes. But some of the women fighters, they're dealing with other situations that brought them to the ring.
Yeah, because a woman just respectfully, and I feel like I can say this, a woman just doesn't like go into a ring and is like, oh, I'm gonna fight. It's like there has to be some unchecked aggression and trauma that got you there.
My little joke is when somebody was like, a woman comes and they want to fight. So what's your issue? Right away. I'm gonna get to it. I'm going to get to it right away, right? Because I'm going to break the ice.
Break the ice, yeah.
Right off the. What is it? Daddy issues? You got anger issues? What is it? Let's check the boxes now so I know what I'm working with.
Oh my God, I got all of the above,
bro.
So all of
you
the
know
above.
what? But that kind of breaks it to the sense of like, you know what? I understand. Let's get to work and figure out what we got to do, to make you better, make myself better as a coach, whatever the case may be. But you were an athlete. We're going to 360 here for a second. Gymnast, cheerleader.
I almost went to the Olympics.
Okay.
I almost did.
So here you are as a cheerleader, gymnast. Gymnast is trying. What was your sport as a gymnast? Floor?
Oh, you mean my favorite event?
What was your strength as a gymnast?
Yeah, floor, because that's why I transitioned to cheer. Because I only went up to like level 7, but
what were you, a flyer?
Oh, no. I was a flyer. That was in cheer. Yeah. I went up to level 7 in cheer, too. But there's only 7 levels in there. But out of 10 in gymnastics, I went up to 7. And then I hate bars, respectfully. I can teach bars really good. But myself, that core and flipping myself over, can't do that anymore. I'm too old now. So I switched over to cheer. And that's when I did the U.S. trials. Got like 3rd in the freaking U.S.
Nice. So, as a gymnast, similar to boxing, you're out there by yourself with your coach.
Yeah.
It's you. It's, even though you're going for team scores and everything else, but basically
it's a solo sport.
That event is out there. The eyes are on you on that floor and everything else. Did you ever think that, coming out of that background, you'd be sitting here today saying, I'm a boxer?
No. When I did wrestling in high school, I honestly did it for, like, the Letterman jacket. And I did it because my brother was a wrestler. I know. This is so sad.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what? It's not that. It's like I know stories of girls being wrestlers in the state of Connecticut.
I actually got a full scholarship to Gannon.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a father of 2 daughters, all right? I'm not going to deter you, but I don't know how I'm feeling about my daughter wrestling guys. Fighting guys is different. Fighting guys.
We had a girls wrestling team.
Okay,
actually.
You had a girls. So it was all girls.
Yeah, because
so you competed against girls.
Yeah, no, because my I graduated 2018. My class was the one that got the girls wrestling shit out there. Because now in high schools there's like girls wrestling and like you can go to state and all that stuff. I got a full scholarship to Gannon University, and I said, fuck that. Like, I have like the whole letter and everything. My dad still has it on his fridge and shit. Oh, you got a full scholarship to Gannon in Erie, PA for female wrestling. And I said, no, I don't want to do that because like, at the time, I was like, oh, like, I want to do the influencing thing. I'm with David Dobrik. Like, I got to do this shit.
So how did that change into the boxing? Besides the Viper Room incident, was that in the back of your head before the Viper Room?
I mean, I did, like, the one lesson at Mendez for, like, shits and giggles. And obviously, like, KSI and Jake, like, brought this into, like, the influencer system. My first boxing match was actually at the Staples Center, KSI versus Logan. Like...
Yeah, you went in deep.
Yeah, like
you didn't go to no little backroom boxing gym. You went right to the main arena and said,
I was actually ringside. Shout out Team Paul. They got me ringside in 2019. But I didn't know shit. I was like, wow. I thought Logan won, but now looking back, he didn't win. Like, respectfully, Logan. But
so let me touch on something.
It's just in the back of my head, maybe.
What does your father think of you boxing now?
He loves it. Okay, so hear me out here. So, my dad lives in Mexico, so he actually said he went to my debut. It was so weird. Had a whole section at IFL where my parents, even my stepmom was there, both parents, and then my stepmom, all in a room. It was weird, but he wants me to fight in Mexico because, and I quote, if you win a belt in Mexico, I am going to give you 10,000 USD, but in pesos. My dad is such like pro Mexico. I've even trained out in Mexico at Alto. Yeah. And he's like so pro Mexico. Like, I want to bring like money to Mexico. I want to do this. I want to do that. Like very, very business minded. But he was like, all right, like if I'm going to support you in your career, you need to like come out in Mexico. And that's like his only stipulation is Mexico belt. 10 grand. He actually texted me during the Paul Tyson fight when Serrano versus Taylor went on and was like, yo, am I going to see you fighting that chick? And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, are you watching Paul and Tyson? He was like, yeah, I saw the two girls fight. And I was like, in due time, Dad, no, do not put me up against Amanda Serrano. She already hates me because I called her out as a doofus. Back like last year, June 2023, I was like, yeah, I can fight Amanda Serrano. Bitch, no, you can't. You're delusional. Don't do that, Brooklyn. Yeah. So my dad's very supportive. It's just there's stipulations. He's like, Mexico, I need you to fight like somebody like Elite, and then I'm going to give you 10 grand for Team Brooklyn. So I'm like.
Yeah, okay. Now he's promoting fights for you.
Yeah. I'm like, but don't give me
at least the support. Yeah, I mean, look, we've had Katie Taylor in our gym.
I love Katie Taylor. That's my GOAT, bro. That's my GOAT.
Yeah, Katie is a real humble. I've never met Amanda Serrano.
Seen her on Twitter. I've never met her either.
I've never met her. I go back to that, and no disrespect to the Tyson-Paul fight. The Serrano-Taylor fight should have been the headline fight.
Facts.
I'm not taking anything away from those two. I get it, Jake Paul. You're putting the promotion. The main event was those two girls. Mm-hmm. And I saw both fights. And I've got to speak to Katie's trainer a couple times and watch Ross in person. In the first fight, which was phenomenal, he did such a great job in the corner with Katie Taylor changing the fight in the 5th round from what he said. And Katie just came back and won that fight. I'm not going to say
she was on autopilot.
I'm not going to say my opinion on the last fight because I have, different opinions of what happened in that fight.
I do too.
What I will say from a training aspect of that fight, Amanda Serrano is a phenomenal fighter. They're both phenomenal. Those two girls put female fighting on the map, but not only female fighting in general for what they did. Mm-hmm. Forget the fact that they were female. They were fighters. They went out there and put on 2 great performances. 1, they packed Madison Square Garden. 2, they put 80,000 people in Texas Stadium. Mm-hmm. That's a hell of an achievement.
They really
in boxing
did that
today.
Shit, yeah.
It's a hell. And you know what? They put on a great show.
Honestly, I think it was really good. I feel like it was a people's main event, but having it be co-main was actually phenomenal because then you have all the, like, younger kids that are waiting to watch Jake Paul actually looking at boxing. Well, and they did an amazing fucking fight. It was so close. Personally, I think Katie won. I know there's debates on that. I can see from other perspectives, but I gotta stand with my GOAT. But
I'm gonna say the same with you.
Yeah.
And people ask me why, and I voiced my opinion.
I feel like I'm hurt.
What as a trainer, what I did not like was the ending of. So from looking at the fight at a different aspect, I see the fight changing, and I understand she gets a headbutt, and I understand everything that's going on, and one thing is Amanda Serrano is a bigger, stronger fighter than Katie Taylor.
Yeah, definitely.
And did not go to the body at all. Roy Jones said it. I'm not going to be the only guy to take credit for it. Roy Jones was saying it the whole fight. If you watch the fight on commentary,
I love him.
So do I. Unbelievable, great fighter. As a coach, okay, we watch tape over and over, and I'm a tape guy. You know, I'll wake up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, flip my iPad, my computer, whatever it is, and I'm watching tape. If you're getting ready to fight, They knew how Katie Taylor fought. She leads, whatever. That's her style, rough and rumble. She gets in there.
In the pocket fighter, just like me.
And, you know, instead of saying she's a dirty fighter and she does this with her head, as a coach, we need to know. You already fought her once. You already saw it. There's multiple hours of tape on Katie Taylor out on the internet.
And yet you still couldn't beat her.
Okay,
Serrano.
well, you couldn't beat her. You didn't make an adjustment.
True.
You went and you talked about what she did, okay? But you never made an adjustment as a coach.
Yeah. Just take your L.
You know what? Okay. I hope they fight a trilogy.
No, I do too. I think it's a much-needed trilogy.
Honestly, there's personally no disrespect to any of the women out there right now.
Those two are the GOATs right now.
They're putting asses in the seat.
They are.
They're putting asses in the seat. You know what I mean? And you could sell that sizzle anywhere. You could sell it anywhere in any stadium for women fighting. For the fight game, right off the rip.
They're the pioneers right now.
But you know what? It's also an inspiring look. Whereas, and I come into the sport of women's boxing when there wasn't the warm and fuzzy feeling of having women come into the gym as it is today.
Oh, my God. 50-50. Depends on where you go. But a lot of the places I go love women fighting.
Listen, I'm through the tri-state area, through a lot of different gyms. And look, when you have women fighters, you have to go with the flow, but you have to find sparring.
Yeah,
so you have to travel. You have to make relationships because, you know, depending on what weight class you have in a woman, it's hard. But if you go through the gyms in the New York, New Jersey, even Connecticut now, there's some outstanding women fighters. And I don't know if it's 50-50 anymore. Like, I legitimately was in gyms when there were no women.
Yeah. Well, I feel like just being a woman, like, it's kind of hard. Like, you got to find that one place, which I have, like, I'm not going to put anybody on blast. I have a good, solid list of places that I go to that are very inclusive. Other places, they're just, like, looking at you, like, or at least for me, they're like, what the fuck? Like I said, I get it. Like, oh, you're a 4'11" little white girl. Like, and I'm blonde most of the time. Yeah. So it's like, what are you doing? I feel like women in the gym now, it's more inclusive, at least here in the East Coast. But there are a tiny speck of people that just don't fuck with it. I think that's more West Coast, though.
I can't speak for the West Coast because I know you
Voice
can.
of the sesh.
Yeah, I know you can and everything else, but being on the East Coast,
on the East Coast, the boxing culture is good.
A lot of talent.
Yes, a lot of talent.
A lot of talent out there in the women's division, especially in the tri-state area.
Especially in my weight classes. Like, I go from super light to, I think it's super light 109 to feather, so 125. Like, that's why I have to, like, fluctuate a lot. That's why I'm, like, I was really, like, body dysmorphic. Now I'm, like, not. It's from, like, the whole gymnastics thing. Because, like, as a woman, you gotta, like, feel like, you know, you're in, like, a size category. Nah. The reason why now women fighters have to fluctuate a lot is because there's not a lot of competition in at least like some of the weight classes. That
You got to
I'm in.
look in the division that's going to make most sense for you now as you go pro. And it's not only you as a woman, it's even as a guy.
Yeah.
All right? Because, look, if you take your weight class and I put a guy in that weight class, we got to look at the same thing. Where are we going to be successful? Okay, we're going to start. We're going to start here, but where does our sweet spot really?
Yeah.
Are we able to move up 2 divisions? Are we able to go? Because at the end of the day, as a pro, it's about money. It's about where I can be successful, to fight for a championship,
Yeah.
to fight for a payday. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about now your style. What's the nickname? Little White Tyson?
That's what my coach at Mendez called me, yeah.
Yeah.
But my fighter name is Big Deal.
Yeah.
Brooklyn, the Big Deal Barwick.
So if we were going to come see you fight, what's your style? What do you like? Okay, did you?
I know I do have
it's
a
a
style,
two-part question, right? Two-part. When you came into this game, being green, not knowing, did you have an idea of what you wanted to
Nope.
emulate?
Nope. I had
You just
no
went
idea.
in and threw like you were throwing wild shots, like
Yeah, if you actually look back at my footage, like I was doing good at the Nikki Rue fight. I feel like my worst one was Barstool, which I didn't know what the fuck because I was getting so much like knowledge from different places. I didn't know what the fuck to like put together in the puzzle. But now I feel like I do have an understanding of what my style is. But going into it, fuck no. I feel like I just went in, like I just got thrown into the deep end. Like, here's your boxing career.
So what's your style? We're gonna come watch your fight. Tell us.
So
Tell me what can I expect?
I am obviously 4'11". I'm a very unique fighter. Not a lot of people can prepare for me, but I can prepare for people. It depends on the fighter, obviously. But I am very aggressive. I'm like always in your face. So that's the little pit bull, little White Tyson. Just okay. Boom, we're here. Let me throw shots. Let me freaking actually work my angles. My last fight, I lost literally solely on mental. I thought I won first and third, but whatever. But if I'm like in my element, if I'm actually working, and I do this a lot in sparring, I'm very much, all right, if I see you like right across from me, I'm going to be right in front of you. Okay, you're trying to work your angle, you're trying to shuffle around. No, I'm going to cut that ring, I'm going to be there. But without obviously saying things as well that would give out like what would make me win, I feel like I'm very unorthodox. And I feel like I've worked southpaw, orthodox, just like multiple stances, multiple styles, training in London, training in Cali, Vegas, and Mexico, and especially here in New York. Like, I've seen just multiple different looks. I can easily switch at any time. I feel like first round, I do calculate a lot of data on a fighter if I'm like conscious enough to. I feel like that is a weakness of mine, is I do very get submerged in like all the media, all the lights, all like the pressure and shit. But if I'm proper, like I'm a fucking dog, and I'm a dog walk you. Like I dog walked Amber on that CFN card. I should have won. I should have had that belt. They called it a draw. Nah. She's trying to go pro to like avoid me, but I'm like, oh baby, I'm coming, and you're gonna have to get a WBA belt off me.
Yeah, so you're still in that division.
Yeah.
That you have
I'm in my face, bro. I'm in the face. I'm in the pocket. I'm outside. I'm working my corners. Like, Dave, you saw me when I was shit. Now I'm like,
yeah,
meh.
but I wouldn't see. Look,
I would say shit.
I wouldn't say that. See, because I don't like to hear a fighter talk about themselves like that. Because you
Southpaw Brooklyn died that night.
You evolved. You had to go through the learning process to get where you are today.
Yeah.
It's part of the evolution of the sport.
Yeah.
Okay? You could have did two things. That could have been your last fight and said, fuck this. I ain't doing this no more. You
It
evolved.
almost was.
You went back to the drawing board. You looked at it. Okay? Whether it was pretty or not for yourself, you evolved as a fighter.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this sport so good, right?
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like I've been through a bunch of trial and error, and that's why I feel like
but you're still, you got to remember too, at 25 years old, majority of people at your age, okay, have had maybe 20, 30 amateur fights.
Yeah, true.
Okay? At least.
Pedigree fighters, yeah.
Not even pedigree, okay? That is ring experience, okay? This sport is not a learn-on-the-job type of sport,
Yeah.
okay? You learn on the job, you get knocked out in this fucking sport. That's the only thing of learning on the job. And it's, so that little experience, those sparring sessions, and the stuff that you're doing now, the traveling, is building up to what is going to make you a better fighter.
Yeah.
Right
I'm
now.
definitely going to get a world championship.
You know what I mean? So in that mindset.
Clip that.
But let's, the other aspect of you right now, and you're in that generation, okay? Gentrification, millennium, whatever you want to call it.
Gen Z.
Gen Z, right? Social media.
It's a lot.
It is. How important is that right now?
It's so important. Like, all the cards that reach out to me and all the money fights I've gotten, because I'm not going to say, like, how much, like, obviously I make off of fighting, but
yeah.
My sponsors and my fight purses do fund my life currently, so shout out to that. Everything is through social media. I wouldn't have had that if it wasn't for my platform.
Is there a plan on how you manage your social media, or is it just random? Like
it's
everything
so random. Like, I'll go through the reason why people, like, I say separate big deal is because big deal will get canceled. She'll, like, say some whack ass shit, throw, like, shit at people. But, like, me, like, as a person, like, I'm very, like, quiet to myself, very anxious. Like, I have panic attacks frequently. Like, that's just me. But, like, in, like, those four walls, I'll talk my shit. I'll be like, yeah, fuck you, Tina Snows, you're a fucking bitch, da-da-da-da-da. But then I'm like, in real life, this goes for any opponent, even Amber or January, every single one, I'm like, all right, professional time, move it, groove it, get out of there, go eat your food, like, go watch your Netflix, very to myself. But social media does help because whether they hate you or they don't hate you, and I have more haters than supporters, like, I have supporters, yes, but, like, there's a difference between somebody that follows your career and says, oh, you're shit, than somebody that follows your career and says, yo, I fucking love you, repost your shit, and, like, shows that love, gives you your flowers where it's due.
Well, I think today's age, right, to be successful, you
have to have haters.
You got to have a little bit of both, right?
Yeah.
You got to have a little bit of both. The haters are still watching you.
Yeah. They want to watch me fuck someone up or get fucked
or
up.
Fall. Mm-hmm. Or fall, right?
I'm still making money either way.
Yeah, you're a business.
I'm a business. I'm a whole brand.
You're the brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Personal question.
Yeah.
Relationships. How's it work right now for you?
Oh, my God.
With let me ask you this, okay?
Yeah.
I ask you this. You meet a guy, right? Whatever, the first thing they ask you, right? They don't know. You look in there. You look like got your glasses. They don't know anything about you. Haven't seen your social media. Then you drop I'm a fighter. How does
my God.
How does that play today?
Oh my God, it is actually so funny. So, like, when I was on the dating apps and shit, like, I would obviously post, like, fight photos and shit. Everyone is like, oh my God, are you gonna beat me up? When I meet somebody authentically.
Depends.
No, it depends, yeah. Are you gonna piss me off? Are you gonna make 20 videos about me afterwards? Like, maybe. Like, but when I meet somebody, like, authentically, they love who I am. I'm very much into crypto. That's, like, where a lot of my money comes in from. Like, I'm very techie, very nerdy, very social media-like. Then they go onto my Instagram, which is the big deal, at BrooklynBarwick. And they were like, holy shit, like, that's you? And I'm like, yeah, like, that's me. They're like, there's no way. There's no way. I'm like, yeah.
It's my alter ego.
Yeah. Yes, big
That's
deal
my
is
alter
my
ego.
alter ego.
And
yeah.
that's fighting today because everybody, like, look, Muhammad Ali, we talked about earlier, right? Was the biggest trash talking guy.
I feel like I'm the McGregor of influencer boxing.
Yeah. And you know what? I got to see that, and at that day and age, it was frowned upon. Mm-hmm. It was very frowned upon, right?
Very frowned upon.
And
I can't stare at an opponent.
People, because there wasn't social media, Muhammad Ali was a show. Mm-hmm. There was Muhammad Ali the show, and then there was Muhammad Ali the person.
Yeah.
And
I'm the show.
They're two different people.
Yeah.
Two different people.
Split personality.
And I would say this now. Muhammad Ali would be the highest paid athlete, and I've said it before, ever, if he was competing today with social media.
Exactly.
Because he was ahead of his time marketing in a time that we didn't have access to, cable,
We couldn't really see all the fights
Yeah, you
like
couldn't
on
see the fight.
replay if we didn't see it live.
Yeah, they weren't. It was delayed a week later.
Yeah.
Or a month later, whatever the case may be. So
Or sometimes not even on film. You have to be there in person.
You had to be there. And I get that whole aspect of, you have to play both parts.
I played the villain so much, and honestly, I feel like that's my niche now. Like, if you hate me, I love you. Thank you so much for bringing me bread on my table. And I say that with the most smile in my face because it would really fuck me up when people would be like, you suck at boxing. You do this, you do that. You're a bitch, you're this. Whatever the fucking insult is.
Is it the Jake Paul effect?
I feel like it is. I feel like I'm the female Jake Paul. I'm not even going to lie to you. Like I was saying in the car and stuff, was me doing my pro transition. I'm the first of my kind to do it. I am the pioneer. Next month when I have that NYS licensing, dude, I'm literally the first female pro that had her amateur backing in influencing. Yeah. Chase Demore just did that on Rising Stars in Newark. And, I got to see it, live. I was like, holy shit. It was on Bamba's card. I was like, holy shit. Chase went from a pedigree misfits background to where he was fighting Alan Belcher, doing celebrity matches, and he was a reality TV star, to now he's an actual professional boxer who is still doing influencer stuff. He just got out of Qatar, the one that Slim and shit was on. And then now he has a pro fight in Mexico on the 7th. Or, wait, is it the 7th today? Probably was.
Today is the 7th.
He has a fight today in the pros.
Yesterday.
Oh, yeah. I haven't
listen, what's
updated
the
it.
end game here, okay?
The end game is making a big deal a big motherfucking deal, bro, because...
I get that, but even in the sense of these other fighters, the end game is to, like you said, put food on my table.
That,
You know what I mean? In the sense of and I see it with not just you, I'm talking about everyone else that comes into the sport. The opportunity to make money, okay? If you're your own business, you're your own, as a fighter, you're your own business, whether it's influencer, instigator, whatever it is.
It's not even just for the money, though, for me. It's honestly just for the love of the sport.
It starts out for the love of the sport.
Yeah.
It always does. And and you know what? It is. And look, I've made a couple dollars in boxing. I don't make my living in boxing as a trainer. I'm in it for the love of the game. Mm-hmm. And I think to be successful, you have to be in it for the love. Because if you're not, you're spending so many hours on your own with people who aren't your family, crafting your passion.
Yeah. You got to be with people that, really know what's up and really care about you, too.
My kids used to say, when I was younger, they would say, where's your father? He's with his girlfriend. And people would look at them, what do you mean he's with his girlfriend? Oh, he's in the gym. He's boxing. And that was always considered. And look, I've had to walk out of my house during holidays. This year, this Thanksgiving was the first Thanksgiving in 7 years we weren't getting ready for a fight.
Yo, that's
that we
lit.
weren't in the gym on Thanksgiving morning. And it was usually a tradition that we would go in Thanksgiving morning with the fighters, get ready, but we didn't have anything lined up.
Yeah, you were with your family then.
I've had fighters stay at my house during the holidays for Christmas. We were getting ready for fights.
Mm-hmm. They become your family.
I think that's the only way to coach, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't coach you if I don't know you. I can't do it generically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't.
You have to know what makes the certain person tick.
And it's not even for me, I have to have, first of all, I got to really believe in you and like you and believe in what you're doing. Okay? That's number one. Okay? But I have to be able to coach from that one-on-one aspect. I got to know more about what you're doing than just going in that ring to fight. I can't show up in the gym and say, okay, it's time to work.
Yeah,
we got to break bread. We got to do something. We got to talk. We got to figure out, look, I got to understand what makes you tick. That day that you walk in the gym with your face to the floor, what is that emotion from? Is it a physical emotion? Is it a mental emotion? Is there something going on in your life at that moment that nobody else knows about? And then we got to act accordingly around that. Yeah,
I really like that type of coaching style. And, it's something I feel like I personally have lacked in getting.
Well, you're finding your way through the sport.
I'm it's trial and error right now.
You're looking for the fit. right? You're looking for the
missing puzzle piece.
Right, you're looking for exactly. You're looking like you have in your head what the puzzle is. Now you're just looking to fit all the pieces in that's going to work for you. You know what? It might work with one group, and you might say, yeah, look, it's just not vibing. I've seen that with fighters.
Yeah.
Okay? And I've had a couple of fighters, and one, and it's like, listen, do what you got to do right now. At the end of the day, the fighter can't have that friction. You can't have friction when you're going to train a fight.
Yeah.
Cannot. It's like this.
I had a camp
it's like a
that
bad relationship. It's coming home and your partner is like,
say
right?
it loud, say it proud.
Like if your partner's telling you, hey, Brooklyn, I'm not really keen on you fighting. Hey, and that's happening as you're training, okay? You might listen a little bit, but after a while it starts leaning on you. Like
it starts getting like an eerie voice.
Why do I need you to support me?
Yeah.
I don't need you to knock me down at that point.
And
that's how a trainer's got to be too.
Yeah, like for me, it's like I hate asking. Like I want somebody that's on top of all of their shit, and this is why I like vibe with AJ, because he's like, nah, I told him the story of what happened to me, like very authentically and very like unfiltered. And he was like, really? Somebody did you like that? All right, cool. Was like on top of getting me sparring, on top of, okay, like we need to do this, this, and this to get your pro licensing, recommendation letters, because apparently there needs to be recommendation letters. I don't know. And all this like shit on top of it. But in other coaches, and I'm not trying to talk shit, and I am not hurting anybody's character, but if I have to ask, hey, I need like a 5-6 person to spar, or hey, I need mitt work, or hey, I need this, I need that, like it gets annoying. It's like it's a partnership. Like being a coach and being a fighter, you're supposed to be like loving, you're supposed to be homies, like that's your family, that's your big brother, that's your dad, whatever the fuck it is, or like even your sister if it's a female. But if you have to like constantly be on this person and being like, yo, I need this, I need that, I need to do this, I have a fight, I have this, I need you to prioritize me, it just gets annoying. Like I like somebody that's very versed, very, okay, Brooklyn, what do you need? Because I will say I am a little bit of a princess, like brat energy, but it's not.
You're a fighter. Fighters are needy.
That too.
And you know what?
It's like, wrap my hands,
no
like,
offense,
give me Vaseline.
Fighters are needy. You want to know something? And you're right. As a coach, look, a fighter can be so egotistical, very smart, very this and that. You get a fighter into camp, yes, you have to have that vibe. You need to know what they want, what they want when they want it, and when to talk, when not to talk, when to say, when to do. It's a whole dynamic.
And not leave you and abandon you, bro.
It's a whole dynamic. And honestly, yes, it's our jobs as coaches to understand, okay, you're 4'10", okay, we're fighting a girl who's 5'5", guess what? We got to find sparring that emulates that.
Exactly.
We have to go and do this. I need to do this. And it's a plan.
And not splitting your, like,
setting
attention.
A camp is a plan.
Mm-hmm.
I do, you know the black and white books?
Yeah.
Every camp I have a book.
Like the composition books? Yeah.
Okay? From the day we start, your name, all your information is in there. Weight, this, that, where we start. Day one.
Mm-hmm. I have a training camp diary
and
like that too.
And that goes true. We're having camp, okay? If I have a couple fighters that do stay with me, on Sunday nights we're having an end of the week with all the training. Who's the strength and conditioning coach, recovery coach, if there's a nutritionist, if there's a meal prep person,
if there's a physical therapist or like something.
Right, if they're hurt, whatever we're doing, what's the plan? Where are we at? Who are we fighting?
Very hands-on. I like that.
Where are we going? Okay, how many rounds of sparring do we need to do? Mm-hmm. Okay, if we got a weight cut,
how many pounds do you need?
How many pounds do we need to cut?
Yeah, I like a person that's very hands-on.
I mean? And I hate weight cut fights.
I hate weight cut fights too, but that's every fight for me.
Yeah, it's tough. I have. We cut weight one time in my house where we were doing the baths, and I had a fighter in one of my daughter's pink robes with a shower cap on, wrapped in towels, laying on the floor.
Oh, he's sweating.
Yeah, I got to try to find a picture of that. And he knows, I'm not going to say his name, but he knows who he is. And
Yo, I know you said pink because everything is pink for me.
Yeah, I got that. But we're going to kind of wrap it up here. I want to ask you something. And if you were to give somebody advice right now, what would that advice be?
In boxing?
Both.
in
Boxing
life?
and everything else that it is. What would the advice to be someone like yourself wanting to fight, wanting to enter this world? What would the advice be?
The wonderful world of fighting. My advice would just be, honestly, go in if you really want to fight. Like, don't go in because you have to or because, like, you get talked into it. Go in because you want to. And when you're in there, have the best fucking time of your life because you never know when that could be the last time in the ring. And also, if you're in this sport, please, for the love of God, respect and still stand your ground, but respect the OGs. Like, if somebody crosses you, like, stand on business because the one thing that I'm personally finding, just as a woman and as a person with a platform and with somebody with haters, is that people love to underestimate and to, like, just kind of see how far they can go with you. Don't let that happen. Be your own person. Don't sell your soul to any promotion company, any brand. Just be your own person. And even if that, like, burns bridges or, like, gives you bad business, bad PR or whatever, any publicity is good publicity. Like I've said a million times on this podcast, people love to watch me get fucked up or fuck somebody up. There's no in between, but either way, I'm still getting those social media insights and I'm still getting the opportunities. So enjoy the ride, but be careful, be cautious. And in life, just fucking YOLO. You only live on this planet once. Like, honestly, I would be content dying tomorrow because I've done a lot of shit in my life. But, like, I am so grateful every day when I wake up. I'm like, oh, shit, God put me on this earth for another day. All right, let's get to rolling. Let's get to what I got to do. So just enjoy the ride. Do your shit. And Big Deal loves you. And don't do drugs without me.
All right, great advice. You want to shout anybody out, your sponsors, before we wrap this up? I know we got to do the business part of it, too.
Alrighty, so follow at BrooklynBarwick. That is my Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I also made a new Instagram, Team Brooklyn, the BKLYN, so Team BKLYN, boxing, where I post a lot of sparring, mitt work, etc. And also shout out to GT Boxing, shout out to Teep Territory, shout out to Alien Guards, shout out to War Tape, shout out to Adams Boxing, shout out to Hayabusa, shout out to Plug and Play, and shout out to all of my supporters. I love you guys so, so much. Oh, and also the biggest shout out to my physical therapist, Skip to Health PT in Chelsea, Manhattan, because without him, Team Brooklyn would be in shambles because I'm always in pain. And shout out to just everybody, honestly, that just loves me. And also shout out to my haters. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just.
I think you caught them all.
I think I got them all. And also shout out to myself and shout out to my mom for birthing a legend.
There we go. So we're going to be excited to see your first pro event.
Yeah.
I know you're going to keep us informed, and we definitely want to have you back here after you get that
pro
first
debut TBA.
After you get that first win.
Oh my God.
All right.
It's going to be so amazing.
You know, you got an open invitation to come to Coach's Corner. Appreciate you, and we're going to be looking
Follow
forward.
Dave, guys. Like, he's a homie. I met him in an elevator, and now we're here.
Yeah. That's the boxing world, though. You know what? You're a close community. And you know what? I want to thank the people that have been supporting Coach's Corner, my subscribers. Really, really appreciate you. Want to shout out to IM8 for the great products for my fighters. My guy, Ian Bick, on Locked In. Without him, I wouldn't be sitting here. He's the one who pushed me over the edge, and he's the one who believed in me. And we appreciate you guys. We will see you on the next episode of Coach's Corner. Train hard, train smart, and we'll see you in the next round.